Part 84. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozheji. Chapter 832. The assistant director was surprised. Isn't this kind of decision too strange? It's okay if you don't say the reason. The higher UPS often make decisions, and they won't tell them the reason. But most of the time, they can always figure out the approximate reason. But today totally nonsensical. A wedding, the scene in the movie will not exceed 3 minutes. What did she do wrong? The assistant director couldn't figure it out. The director couldn't figure it out either. The two looked at each other and each side. Delete this part and continue to shoot the next part, the director said. The assistant director nodded. If you can't guess, then you have to stop guessing. Why bother with yourself? Fortunately, this is an insignificant plot, as long as it can be reflected in the follow-up, the director murmured. If it is an important plot, even if the boss of the direct management department calls, he will still have to argue. Who isn't a director with a temper? No one knew that at this moment, the instigator of the whole incident was sitting on the chair next to him, watching the crew in a good mood because of the unexpected situation. As for the Divine Supervision Bureau, it would be even happier. What Papa Pixio asked them to do, although a bit strange, was not difficult for the Supervision Bureau. It's a simple matter of just a phone call, and everything will be fine for a year's promotion and fortune. Earn. Asterisk. Leaving aside some of the more depressing and painful scenes, this experience was novel and exhilarating for Jin Li. That kind of feeling of playing myself, anger, ignorance, joy and anger, is really not bad. Lady Fenjiao is a legendary figure. After her husband and son died of illness, she was depressed for nearly a year. During this year, because she was not interested in anything, she could feel more clearly that the people around her, and even people farther away, or in other words, the huge Guo family, the whole area, what kind of life are the people on the land living? Repressed. Chaotic. Hopeless. Even being alive is not necessarily a happy thing. She used to focus most of her energy on her family, but now, because she wants to get out of her grief, she focuses more on other things. The more I watch, the more I feel bored. It turned out that she was far more than the only poor person in this world. It turned out that she was just an insignificant one among thousands of poor people. It wasn't her fault, and it wasn't them. What is wrong is this era, what is wrong is this surprising and chaotic environment. The woman suddenly woke up. This year, she was newly married for 2 years, her husband died and her son died. She was 23 years old. She spent 2 full years reading and studying, learning about current events, traveling to most places in this land, and seeing the living conditions of people living in various places. Finally she found the way she should go. She sold all her possessions. In the same year, a Fenjiao Ilu appeared in Pingcheng. Although it is called Fenjiao Tower, it is very elegant inside. Inside you can not only find music, chess, calligraphy, painting, poetry, and hops, but also see all kinds of new things from the West. You can find both a charming lark songstress and an erudite lady with whom you can talk about modern poetry. But within a few days, this small building with 3 floors and a large courtyard has become the most popular entertainment place in Pingcheng. Of course, what is the most popular in Fenjiao building? But an enchanting dancer. Not a learned lady either. Of course it was that one. No man in the world could stop her from looking back, Fenjiao Lozu. See you there. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozheji. Chapter 833. How beautiful is that Fenjiao landlord? Very few people can tell. Because most people can't see her appearance at all. If you can't see her appearance, you can't describe her beauty. But also because I can't see it, the person I can't see is even more fascinated, and I have spent my whole life imagining to describe that beauty. There are also people who have seen her. But those people rarely take the initiative to mention the appearance of this woman to others. Once there was a son of a rich man in the south of the Yangtze River. He had seen FemaleLead. It is said that after he met FemaleLead, the first thing he did when he returned to Jiangnan was to dismiss the third-bedroom concubine in his backyard. When others asked about the reason, he only replied, "I have seen the real handsome, charming, how can these vulgar fans catch the eye?" When others asked about the specific appearance of the Fenjiao host, he thought for a while, but just shook his head and smiled bitterly, "I'm so ignorant that I can't describe it." Until one time, he was partying with friends and got drunk. During the dinner, her face was blushing, and she looked at the bright moon in the sky with a silly smile. Her eyes are really more hazy and charming than this moonlight, and even more tender. Asterisk. Everyone knows that FemaleLead, a woman who was also called FemaleLead at that time, never met people easily. Her standard of seeing people is also very strange. It has nothing to do with power, money, or talent. Sometimes she would meet a big man with a lot of power in her hands, and sometimes she would meet a wealthy man with an astonishing net worth. But she would also meet young students who had nothing to worry about, and she even saw beggars who had just come out of the mud. And these people have different evaluations of her. Some people say that she is noble and elegant like a breeze and a bright moon, which makes people not feel blasphemous. Some people say that she is a charming banshee, just looking at you will make you willing to give her your heart and soul. It is also said that she is a gentle and beautiful female bodhisattva, whose smile makes you forget all the pain. These various comments made more people curious about her. There were also people who tried to use strong means to meet her, but they were discovered the next day. The powerful dandy was lying on a mass grave outside Pingcheng with a broken hand. That family didn't even dare to look for trouble, and took their young master back, and moved the family to another place within a month. Asterisk. She is truly a legend. Some said she was actually the concubine of some great man. Some people guessed that she was the dark thread of a certain big force. It was also said that she was not human at all. Of course, what more people talk about is the 2 or 3 things that have to be said between this woman and several heroes in the world. That's how people are at the time. No matter how many topics a woman has, they can always get involved in sex. But Miss Fenjiao doesn't care. Until many years later. The land has become unified again, and the new ruler has promulgated policies that benefit the people one by one. The chaotic days of homelessness have been avoided, and the lives of ordinary people have gradually begun to have hope. Lady Fenjiao finally shed that mysterious veil and entered everyone's field of vision. She is no longer young at this time. But when everyone saw her, they all sighed, she is really as beautiful as they imagined. She resumed her real name and refused the honor those people wanted to give her. It took her 2 years to travel all over this land again to understand what the people at this time lacked. Finally, she returned to Pingcheng and opened a comprehensive school. Unsurprisingly, it was 6 o'clock. Ah, good night. Ah, I want a monthly pass. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 834. At that time, the land had just stabilized. Everyone is busy recuperating and rebuilding their homes, and the vast majority of people are working hard for food and clothing. Rich people were able to receive a good education before, and they still can. And those low-level civilians can't even fill their stomachs, so how can they have the time and energy to study? In the beginning, this school called Yuan School could not enroll many students at all. There were even some pretentious noble literati who mocked her in the newspapers, saying that she was a woman and she was too old to think about getting married and having children and staying at home, so she still learned from ancient sages and sages to run schools. Li Yuan didn't care about them. She appeased the teachers whom she invited over, and began to lobby in the streets and alleys of Pingcheng. Those families with school-age children were moved when they heard that there was a school that did not charge tuition fees for the first 2 years, and even provided them with steamed buns for lunch. In this way, Yuan Academy recruited the first batch of students and started formal teaching. 2 years later, lunch was no longer free, and more than half of the people left. A small half of the people stayed. If you are interested in going to the library, look through the history of the former Yuan School and the current Yuan Middle School, and you will find that most of the dozens of first graduates of Yuan Middle School have become the pillar talents of Huiguo. It is worth mentioning that most of them have stated in their memoirs, when it comes to the person who has the greatest influence on them in life, there is no doubt that it is Mr. Yuan. Mr. Zhu Tang, a famous biologist in Huiguo, said in an interview in his later years, "In fact, my original intention to go to school was just for the 2 steamed buns per meal, because my family is too poor, and the lunch at school is the only meal I can eat. 2 years later, I choose to stay in the school, not because I love to study, I just want to learn more things so that I can find a good job and make more money. I want to stand out, want to have a good time." When the white-haired old man said this, he couldn't help laughing, smiling, and nostalgia appeared in his wise eyes. At that time, there were many classmates who thought the same as me, but when we graduated at that time, Mr. Yuan recommended us to study in a higher institution. At that time, everyone thought, "Hey, I have learned so many things. If I can't do something for this country and our compatriots like Mr. How can I not feel ashamed in my heart?" Sir, she really taught us a lot. At the end, this humorous old gentleman also put an Easter egg for everyone. Actually, the name Zhu Tang was chosen for me by my husband. My family is a pork seller. What name can I get? I went to school. At that time, it was called Zhu Dan. Another architect, Mr. Zhang Qichen, was also interviewed. "I am very grateful to Mr. Yuan, she broke my perception of women," she said. Ms. Zhang Qichen is one of the few female students in the first batch of students in Yuan Academy, and she is also a rare student from a wealthy family. "Although my family has no worries about food and clothing, the education for girls is very simple. Teach some female celebrities to settle accounts, and it is enough if they can read a few words." Zhang Qichen said, "My 2 elder brothers both go to school, but my father won't let me go, saying that I'm from a girl's family, and it's useless to go to school. The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess." Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 835. This dignified and elegant old man smiled when he talked about the past. "When Mr. Yuan recruited students for the first time, my family refused. Later, I asked for it myself. My father heard that he didn't want money. I just let go." She was a little embarrassed. Actually, how many of us who entered the school at the beginning really wanted to learn? Some of them did it to fill their stomachs. But for me, I just want to feel what it's like to go to school. At the beginning, I even planned to go to the school to experience it for a few days, and when the novelty passed, I would not go. Until I met Mr. Yuan, for the first time. After many years, when remembering that great woman, Ms. Zhang Qichen still looked forward to and admired, "This is the first time I saw a woman like that." She thought about it, gestured with her hands, and used a few adjectives: beautiful, lively, slender but tall, as if it contains infinite power. "It's like a painting with rich and bright colors," called people's eyes light up. At that time, the little Zhang Qichen directly opened her mouth wide. Her impression of women has always stayed at home: the dignified and respectful mother, the charming and submissive aunt, and the elder sister whose back seems to never be straight. Compared with the women in front of them, they are like outdated, faded, old photos. Pale and dull, lifeless. John Kitchen stayed in the school. I was born and raised as a parent, who made me truly realize that I am a truly independent person, and the person who can do whatever I want is my husband. I look forward to the dawn every day and go to school. I don't like the atmosphere at home more and more. Although my mother is a lady who sounds very noble, she has no right to make decisions, even if she wants to use her pretend to buy a shop. I don't want to live like that. So after graduating from UN Academy, John Kitchen, who has always been obedient, for the first time strongly rejected the marriage that her father promised her. Money, run away. She went to study under the master recommended by Mr. Yuan, and began to study modern architectural design. John Kitchen recalled it slightly, and said with emotion, "I have been away from home for 6 years. After 6 years, I came back home. My father beat me away the first time he saw me. Knowing that I am not married, he almost fainted. He pointed at my nose and called me unfilial. Shame. I said I am a famous designer now, but he still laughed at me for talking big. But later I drove my own car and took my parents to the Pingcheng Grand Theater, which had just been built and was officially put into operation at that time, to watch a play. My dad, who was always tough in an old-fashioned gown, faced the magnificent theater and people. The trendy people who came and went showed a look of bewilderment. At that time, I understood what my husband said to me, when you are strong enough, those mountains that were once insurmountable in your eyes are not counted what. Ms. John Kitchen laughed mischievously. I will never forget that when I told him that the building in front of me was drawn by his daughter, and I personally supervised the construction and watched it being completed bit by bit. My dad's shocked look. To update, a new level is stuck in the background. See you later, ask for a monthly ticket. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 836. This commemorative film is mainly divided into 2 parts. One is the early stage of Li Yuan as the Fengjiao lady. It was also before she was in her 30s. During this period, she was a glamorous lady of the moon, all the fantasies that anyone could think of in a woman, all the fantasies about beauty, charm, and elegance, could be realized in her. The second period is after she became Mr. Yuan. She is still beautiful, but she has washed away her beauty. She put aside the beauty of her skin and began to seek a home that could satisfy her heart. Her beauty began to no longer linger on the surface, but entered into a deeper beauty that originated from the soul. It's not easy to control. The director said directly to Jin Li, "If you have any confusion or problems, please tell me anytime. Also, if you have any ideas or suggestions, just let me know. What we have to do is to use all available methods, doing our best to make this movie the best we can be." Jin Li nodded, "Okay." Everything went smoothly. The director was surprised, the staff were surprised, and the people who played with Jin Li were even more surprised. Does such superb acting skills really belong to a young man in his 20s? The old actors had a deep study of acting skills, and because of their depth, they could feel Jin Li's fear even more. Li Yuan, who she plays, has no trace of acting, and can't find a trace of craftsmanship. It was as if she herself was Li Yuan. No matter what actions she makes or what she says, it makes you feel that it should be like this, and it should be taken for granted. Even during the performance, Jin Li changed his lines on the spot several times out of excitement. But the director didn't stop, because he found that Jin Li's modified lines were actually more suitable than the lines written by a dozen of their professional screenwriters. Could it be that in addition to acting, she also has a good talent in screenwriting? Jin Li could feel what these people were thinking. She thought a little funny in her heart, "Of course it is more suitable than you. Because I is Mr. Yuan now. What I say and the reaction I make are what Lee Yuan himself would say and react to. This how can it be compared? This shoot was undoubtedly hard work. In order to pursue reality, the director used all real-time shooting, especially Lee Yuan, who went to investigate places one by one, all using real-life shooting. In other words, the crew had to follow Jin Lee, from place to place across the country, and set up suitable scenes in each city. That is to say, the documentary film The Backbone of the Country is directly responsible for the film and television drama Father, and he has a lot of money to withstand such a production. Jin Lee was not very happy. She wants to talk to the crew. So he couldn't go alone with Lu Zhenjia, so he had to fly. As an airsick fish, she never felt so uncomfortable walking in the desert with little water. Everyone saw everything about her. Work hard, the acting is so good, there must be a lot of hard work behind it. Superb acting skills. Mr. Yuan's portrayal is three-pointed. Able to endure hardships following the crew around the air sickness without shouting tired. Really are great. Commendable. A model of contemporary young actors. At some point, the entire crew of Spine Fengguolu quietly gave birth to a trend of playing Jin Lee in a fancy way. They not only praised in front of Jin Lee, but even in their own circle of friends. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 837. It's not enough to boast in the private circle of friends. Many seniors, who don't play Weibo very much, rarely log on and post something. For example, Mr. Tu Kaiyuan, who plays a confidant of Mr. Yuan. Tu Kaiyuan v. I met Jin Lee Xiao in Fengguolu, and I am ashamed of my narrow perception of young actors in the past. They are excellent and work hard. Let's encourage each other. For example, Ms. Chen Yu, the actor who plays Li Yuan's sister Li Jinggan. Chen Yu v. Acting with Jin Lee, there is a long-lost feeling of oppression and hardiness. I like this kind of girl very much, and I hope to have more opportunities to cooperate in the future. Another example is Mr. Wu Suiwai, the actor who plays Li Yuan's father. Wu Suiwai v. Daughter, very proud of my father. But for some reason, this Weibo has been stuck for a long time and has not been posted. The director is more direct. He sent a few pictures, which were posted directly on Fengguolu's official Weibo. Fengguolu official WeChat v. Jin Lee fell asleep on the plane again. She seems to be very airsick. During this time, the production team has traveled almost half of Huiguo, and it's been hard work. Picture. The picture was of Jin Lee wrapped in a blanket, with most of her face sunk in the blanket. Looking at it from this angle, it looks rather slender and pitiful. Compared with those young traffic stars, these old drama microblogs have very few fans. And the fans who generally pay attention to these stars are not the kind of fanatical star chasers. So after they sent it out, several days passed without any movement. Until the official Weibo of Fenghualu posted that news. Some media followed suit and found other actors from Fenghualu's crew. I was startled when I saw it. These big bosses who usually cherish words like gold, actually praised Jin Lee in such a consistent way. This is big news. Soon, various headlines, marketing accounts, and gossip websites appeared with similar headlines. Hashtag these superb acting skills and demanding old actors, why do they praise her? Hashtag entertainment circles first vase. Listen to what these movie kings and queens say about Jin Lee. Hashtag even the old opera bones started to speak against their will. Is there still a pure land in this circle? Hashtag just 2 months, let everyone look at each other with admiration. Hashtag the so-called opening 2 pictures, the content depends entirely on editing. It is really a true portrayal of certain media. but what they want is clicks, that is, traffic. Of course, how come there are gimmicks? In fact, they were also very successful. Countless people ran to the microblogs of these old actors with a confused look. Is this a compliment to my family, Jinli, for being hardworking and hardworking? Oops, I don't know why I'm actually blushing a little. Wow, my little fairy is awesome, I said, as long as you see her in person, how could anyone not like her? When Jinli was able to play Mr. Yuan, I felt that there must be something tricky in it, and seeing these remarks now confirmed my guess. Jinli has a pretty background, right? Evil or not? A lot of age and fame, why go kneeling and licking a junior? Really chilling. Jinli has superb acting skills, this is the biggest joke I've heard this year. So many people praise Jinli, it must be not without evidence. Looking forward to the amazing appearance of my pair. What is kneeling and licking? These few are all respected seniors, what if they are telling the truth? Who said I, Jinli, have no strength? 4 more I should be able to check in for an update, right? The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Sushao Zhaji. Chapter 838. This kind of battle is something that many veteran actors have never experienced. At their age, the internet is relatively less. Daily life may be sipping tea, playing chess, and practicing calligraphy and painting with a few old friends, leisurely and comfortable. These large numbers of violent comments on the internet are mixed with a lot of insulting and verbal abuse, which is really unbearable. That is to say, when people are old, they should cultivate themselves well and not care about those trolls. Only Mr. Tu Kaiyuan posted a second Weibo. Tu Kaiyuan v. Kneeling and licking do not exist. I, Tu Kaiyuan, speak and act upright all my life. I can be responsible for every word I say. Those who doubt me, Xiao Jinli, we can see with our eyes then. The old man was born in Peking opera and martial arts, he has a hot temper and a strong body, but he is not afraid of choking with others. Jinli laughed at him. Knowing this, what age and status are you, what are you fussing about with immature people? Tu Kaiyuan felt the same way, that's right, those who scolded me were either young or mentally ill. I have nothing to do with them. So I put aside Weibo and stopped reading it. It's just that his tough Weibo still sparked a lot of heat. As for Jinli, who hadn't posted anything for a while, her Weibo was also occupied by fans. But she is Li Yuan now, and Li Yuan doesn't have the habit of looking at her phone every day. Every day, she sips tea and chats with the seniors in the crew. A group of people were surprised to find that this Jinli was really just like the rumored Mr. Yuan. If this is also performed, it is really too powerful. Asterisk. That's how it went for months. Jinli's main scene was finally finished. She still had to participate in some of the remaining scenes, and the rest of the editing and post-editing were not Jinli's business. She also breathed a sigh of relief. It was at this time that the crew of Fengwulu, which has been deeply involved in the topic, finally released their first version of the trailer. Some fans who have experienced the scene described the grand occasion at that time. I took a nap and found that my friend sent me a link 3 minutes later, saying that Mr. Yuan's trailer was released, and sent me a series of exclamation points to watch it. I clicked in and found that the web page was crashed. That's right. A movie. The point is, a no-nonsense documentary film. 3 minutes after the trailer aired, the official website collapsed. What a terrible concept is this? Jinli's Weibo once again gathered a large number of fans. Can I die without regrets? My Mr. Yuan, oh my god, this is the real Mr. Yuan, I love you, Jinli, I love you, did you hear me? I did not see anything. MMP doesn't just go to the bathroom without a mobile phone, and when I come out, I find that the official website has crashed. Ah, I'm so anxious. Has anyone recorded or screenshot the screen? If you can't see the full version, you can give me a photo and let me take a look first. I miss Kong Kong, I miss Kong Kong. Blow it up? Really blow me away, Jin Lee, how can you be so good? It's so beautiful, it's so beautiful. Ah, ah, whoever dares to say that Jin Lee has no acting skills in the future, I will put the video on her face. Is there a group of trustees upstairs? No matter how good the trailer is, how much acting skills can be seen, don't blow too high, be careful that the wind flashes your tongue. To be honest, the background of the website has collapsed just like the official website these days. Every post is a protracted battle. Today's reason for defrauding votes is, vote for Mr. Yuan. The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 839. Obviously, the crew did not expect that this trailer could be so popular. They could only ask technicians to repair it urgently. In addition, they re-released the trailer on the crew's official Weibo. Of course Jin Lee also forwarded it. This time, the screaming fans stopped screaming. Those who haven't watched the trailer are mesmerized by it and can't get out of it. The first time I read it, I pressed save. I was worried about another crash, so I acted first, and saved it on my computer and mobile phone to watch slowly. Jin Lee and Lu Zhenjia watched the trailer together. Still the same as before. Obviously Jin Lee participated in all the filming, and Lu Zhenjia was always by Jin Lee's side. He has seen all her stunning looks. But watching it again in the video, it feels completely different. Jin Lee looked at the woman on the screen seriously, and a satisfied smile appeared on the corner of her lips. It's so pretty. She looked sideways at Lu Zhenjia and asked, "Do I look good?" Lu Zhenjia looked away from the screen, and nodded pertinently, "It's very beautiful." However, he said very seriously, "I think my Jin Lee is the prettiest." Jin Lee was taken aback, then laughed. This time I laughed more than before. She stretched out her slender fingertips, lightly tapped on the man's chest, and said softly, "You are so glib." Lu Zhenjia turned his head away, not to look at her. His meaning was obvious. Until the real little fairy came back, he kept a distance from her. Jin Lee looked at him, both surprised and useful. Instead of harassing the man, she picked up her phone and began to scroll through the comments on Weibo. This time, the comments below were surprisingly unanimous. "When will the movie be broadcast? I want to buy a ticket." "When will the movie be broadcast? Add 1. I just saw the preview on the official website, I have to wait until the prime time of the celebration in the second half of the year." "When will the second half of the year be celebrated?" "I am dead." Ah, there are still many months, why is it still so long?" "I must see it, too beautiful." I think I must have misunderstood Jin Lee's acting skills before. Fu Huidao is very attentive, and the color tone is also very beautiful. If not, do you have any misunderstandings about the father of the Film and Television Bureau? This documentary, it is said that the whole scene is real, and a huge amount of money was spent to build film and television bases in various places. I can only sigh with emotion that the father of the Film and Television Bureau is so angry. Unexpectedly, even the sunspots who jumped up and down before survived. Perhaps Mr. Yuan's charm was too great, or Jin Lee's performance was too good. In short, it is rare to see unanimous praise on the internet. This wave of enthusiasm lasted longer than any of Jin Lee's programs or activities. The surging golden energy even surprised her a little. But it was a good thing anyway. Jin Lee accepted it with a smile. After that, she went to the crew to finish filming the remaining scenes that should be reshot. The last scene of Memories of Old Age is finished. Jin Lee went back to the dressing room, took off her makeup, and changed her clothes. She didn't even ask the makeup artist to touch up her makeup, and just walked out with a plain face. Lu Zhenjie was still sitting where he would sit every day, lowering his head and chatting with someone. His eyes suddenly went dark. "Look up." Qiao Xiaoqian's face appeared in front of his eyes. He hadn't seen this familiar smile for a long time. "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 840. Lu Zhenjie was startled, as if he was a little uncertain. He shouted, "Jinli." A fragrant embrace surrounded her. Jinli smiled and said, "Is that why you like me so much? Even Mr. Yuan doesn't like it?" There are still a lot of people in the production team who have not left, and they are all looking this way in surprise. And the staff raised their phones excitedly. But Lu Zhenjie and Jinli didn't care anymore. Lu Zhenjie put the phone aside, smiled, and hugged him. He explained, "It's not that I don't like it, it's just that no matter how good other people are, if they aren't my Jinli, what does it matter to me?" Jinli's ears were red, but she was smiling happily. "Man, your words have succeeded in pleasing me." She lifted Lu Zhenjie's chin, looking like a playboy. "Ah!" A muffled scream came from beside him. "Jinli." She looked back and found that it was her makeup artist assistant. For the documentary film produced by Dad of the Film and Television Bureau, the stylist and makeup artist are naturally the industry's top stars. To become such a master's assistant, the little girl is also very talented. But no matter how talented a girl is, she can't calm down when she sees such a good-looking CP throwing food on the spot. Being watched by Lu Zhenjie and Jinli, the little girl blushed, and embarrassedly smiled at them while holding her phone. Jinli/Lu Zhenjie. "Forget it, the human looks like an idiot. Leave her alone." Lu Zhenjie let Jinli go, stood up, leaned over, and kissed her lightly on the cheek. "I don't want people to see you being kissed by me, so, go home." Lu Zhenjie's unfinished words were meaningful. "Okay." Jinli raised her eyebrows, not afraid. Jinli said goodbye to the director. After getting along for such a long time, the director had a good impression of Jinli. Seeing the little girl's lively expression now, she was not at all like the elegant and intellectual Mr. Yuan in his old age. The director was amazed at how quickly Jinli came out and was happy for her. He said cheerfully, "Go back, you are tired these days, take a good rest." "Okay, you too, Director Chen," Jinli said. She and Lu Zhenjie left the film and television base together. The two didn't go home right away. "Let's go on a date," Jinli and Lu Zhenjie said. Lu Zhenjie, "Huh? Why did you suddenly think of a date?" He didn't say anything like telling her to go home and have a good rest. No one in the world knew Jinli better than him. The length of work for humans to make movies is really nothing to a little fairy. Jinli said, "I've been moved by your persistence during this period of time and your deep love for me, a little fairy, can't you?" "Okay, of course," Lu Zhenjie said. Jinli gave him a satisfied look, and said, "So, what are we going to do? Go to the Sea of Flowers? Or go to a movie, or go to a holy place for couples to check in?" She was flipping through various dating strategies on the internet with great interest. Lu Zhenjie waited for her to talk for a long time before asking slowly with a smile, "But, what should I do? I know you're done shooting today, so I went to Bajhan Hall to order afternoon tea and dinner." Jinli's thoughts were pulled away at once. She sniffed and asked, "Bajhan Hall?" Lu Zhenjie nodded, "The one with the jade plate worth tens of thousands of dollars, Bajhan Pavilion. 2 more, see you on the spot. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess." Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 841. Bajhan Museum. Jinli knows. To be precise, she is very clear about restaurants where everything is delicious. She had heard about this Bajhan restaurant for a long time. She heard that it was particularly good at Cantonese cuisine. It only received 5 guests a day, and the price was ridiculously expensive. However, what the imperial capital lacks most is rich people. Even if the price is ridiculously high, the people who make an appointment have long been queued until next year. However, Papalu is Papalu. There will always be what he wants. Lu Zhenjia's eyes lit up when he saw Jin Li, and he was amused, but he deliberately asked, "Hey, I wanted to take you there to try something new, but if you said you wanted to go on a date, otherwise I would give you the seat for nothing." Yan and his girlfriend. "Wait a minute," Jin Li said suddenly. A smile appeared in Lu Zhenjia's eyes, and he asked, "What's wrong?" Jin Li had already seen his bad intentions. "Did you say that on purpose?" Snored. But who told her to be a greedy little fairy fish? Knowing that the road ahead is a pit, but there is delicious food in the pit. There is nothing to say, let's dance first. Jin Li looked at Lu Zhenjia seriously, and said, "I think, we have a lot of time to go on a date. Food waits for no one. Even if you can eat it every day, today is today's portion, and it would be a shame to miss a meal." Lu Zhenjia laughed, and tapped her forehead. "You are so greedy, if it weren't for the little fairy, you would definitely become a fat fish." Jin Li said indifferently, "What's the matter with fat fish? Even if I really become a fat fish, it must be the most beautiful fat fish in the world." Lu Zhenjia. This logic left him speechless. "So, are you going to choose to eat and refuse my date?" He looked sad. Jin Li. "Heh, man," she sneered, "didn't you just say the name of Bajhan Pavilion on purpose to seduce me to choose it?" He actually dumped the blame on himself. Lu Zhenjia just laughed. Jin Li had maintained a deliberate, noble and glamorous expression, but finally he didn't hold back and laughed. "That's great," Lu Zhenjia said with emotion. These words made no sense. Jin Li was a little at a loss. What? Lu Zhenjia was driving, with a stern look on his face, without squinting his eyes, but his words were extremely gentle. "Such a graceful Jin Li is my little koi." Jin Li stopped talking. After a while, she unbuckled her seat belt, leaned over lightly, and kissed Lu Zhenjia's ear. She immediately backed away and put on her seat belt again. "She is a good koi who strictly abides by the traffic rules. This is a reward for your sweet talk," she said with a smile. Lu Zhenjia asked, "I still have a lot to say, will there be any rewards?" Jin Li thought for a while. "Little fairy likes to listen. If you make me happy, I will reward you." "Good." Lu Zhenjia's brows and eyes were gentle. "I love you." There was silence in the carriage. Jin Li was a little unresponsive. This was caught off guard. Confession. Xiao Xianyu was completely unprepared. She blinked her eyes in confusion, and looked sideways at Lu Zhenjia, not knowing what to say. "This doesn't need a reward," Lu Zhenjia spoke first. "What?" Jin Li still couldn't follow his words. Lu Zhenjia stepped on the brakes and looked at her seriously, "Because, these words are not sweet words. 3 more, see you on the spot."